Motivational speech and quotes by Mr. Jatindra Kumar Behera. Thanks to give me for to give me privilege to present my paper before the August audience. Inaugurating the 125th birth anniversary of Sir Asutosh Mukherjee, late legal legend Mr. N.A. Palkiwala at Calcutta University had said, today's value agnostic education system is content in churning out moral idiots and moral idiots and ethical illiterates. While ambassador to United States of America during Morarji Desai as a prime minister, Nanaji was confronted with inconvenient questions by reporters within inverted comma. While India is abundant with natural resources, third technological manpower, youth predominating population, is it possible to justify why India continues to be mired in myriad poverty? In exasperation, Naniji replied within inverted comma, India is poor not by nature but by design. Inverted comma end. Naniji in his speech elsewhere had said within inverted comma, we have too much of a judiciary with too little of justice, too much of a control with too little of welfare, too much of administration with too little of governance. End of inverted comma. During one of his frequent visits to Kolkata, late Germanian thinker, philosopher, Greenpeace activist Gunter Grass, asked by a reporter regarding his visit, had replied within inverted comma, a deep-rooted silent fatalism, dumb acceptance of misery, wide-ranging sea of poverty surrounding few islands of stupid, vulgar luxury inhabited by a few, very few, those who behave as if nothing has happened. A fat and wholly non-functioning bureaucracy that disturbs me the most in your country. Inverted comma. And in this context, in the morrow of independence, Pandit Nehru, first Prime Minister of independent India, had engaged British administrative expert Paul H. Appleby to study, analyze, and make some prescription for Indian bureaucracy at inception phase, had remarked it as dilatory, wasteful, and cumbersome. Going by the distressing observation, it transpires not only was bureaucracy one of the most important pillars of Indian democracy, was improperly designed from very inception, but was allowed to continue dismally in almost the same form, a distant dream to play to play utmost pivotal role in the development of a nation. Very recently, Mr. R.D. Blackwell, a history professor at Harvard University, was appointed ambassador to India from 2001 to 2003. He has written a book on India in an abysmal chapter dedicated to bureaucracy. He has observed, average Indian bureaucrats do not think it as a sin to make wealth in abuse and misuse of power. Second, development of a nation is not at the heart of average Indian bureaucrat. In the 1950s, US Ambassador to India J.K. Galbraith had described India is more a functional anarchy. Against all these discordant notes, Mahatma Gandhi's observation, recitation of Gita will be of no avail if it does not help in building the character, almost falls in the same line. In a thought-provoking statement, Nanaji said, we have borrowed the constitution from our children, not from our forefathers. The utility and the integrity of the nation, survival of a democracy, depend upon a rationalization that that constitutional morality is no less essential than constitutional legality. Nanandi's poignant observation to stop reservation in employment would require courage and statesmanship of highest order and would mark a turning point in the history of a country which has been too long content to run a third class democracy under a first class constitution. We have most probably understood monumental task ahead of us. We might be making rounds of its body, never attempting the proper task. I am now coming back to quotes termed motivational, but utility we make make out of it. Within inverted comma, a nation can be built neither by the zealots who limit themselves with religious ghettoization of their minds, nor by mere pragmatists who cut their coats of pride and policy according to the cloth grudgingly supplied by international bankers, led scholar journalist A. N. Das. Philosopher Aristotle has said in the context of how superior educated people are than those uneducated as much as living to death within inverted comma, end. Mahatma Gandhi has said within inverted comma, the essence of education lies in drawing the best in you. Earning money can never be purpose of education. Acquiring good qualities are only aim of education. Inverted commas, end. Learning is a treasure that follows its owner everywhere, Gandhiji. Education is a better safeguard than standing army. E. Everest. Education is not a preparation of life, it is life itself. W. B. Yeats. Education is key to unlock golden door of freedom. G. W. Carver. Education is vaccine of violence. E. J. Wolves. Live as if you will die tomorrow. Learn as if you will live forever. Mahatma Gandhi. It is thousand times better to have common sense without education than education without common sense. Knowledge is knowing what to say, wisdom is whether to say or not. Knowledge is having information, intelligence is using it to your advantage. Wisdom is being true to yourself in the process. Either you run the day or the day runs you. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, not most intelligent, but one most responsive to the change. Darwinism. If you are willing to know, none can stop you. If you are not willing to know, none can help you. Children must be taught to think, not what to think. There is no success without sacrifice. You do not learn swimming by learning about water. Time itself comes in drops. Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. You must be the change you want to see in the society, public world, Mahatma Gandhi. Fear has two forms. Forget everything and run. Second, face everything and rise. Choice is yours. Never stop learning as a life never stops teaching. Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try. Don't do what you can with what you have and where you are. Theodore Roosevelt. Leadership is the capability to transform dream into reality. Warren Bennis. The best way to predict future is to create it. Peter Drucker. Challenge of leadership is to be strong, not to be rude. Be kind, not weak. Be bold, not bully. Be thought provoking, not lazy. Be humble, not timid. Be proud, not arrogant. have humor without folly. Jean Rohin. Men's capacity for justice makes democracy possible, but man's inclination to injustice makes democracy unnecessary. If you want to raise crop for 1 year, plant corn. If you want to raise crop for decades, plant trees. If you want to raise crop for centuries, raise democracy. Education makes the people easy to lead but difficult to drive, easy to govern but impossible to enslave. N.B. Bradley. Instruction ends in the classroom, but education ends in the life. F.W. Robertson. Education, like mass of our age's inventions, is after all only a tool. Everything depends on workman using it. Simple life. No problem can withstand sustained thinking. No problem can withstand assault of sustained thinking. Do Dolphin Roller. To educate a man in a mind and not in a moral is to educate a menace in a society. Theodore Roosevelt. Integrity without wisdom is meaningless and weak. Knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful. Samuel Johnson. He who asks questions may appear a fool for a moment, but he who does not ask remains fool forever. Education is a transmission of a civilization. Will Durant. Upon education, the people of the country, the fate of the countrymen lies, fate of a countryman depends. Most important function of education at every level is to develop personality of individual and significance of his life to himself and others. This is basic architecture of life. Most is ornamental and decoration. Garion Creek. An expert is who knows more and more about less and learn less until he knew everything about nothing. People often say that motivation does not last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why it is recommended daily. Jig Jiglar. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are ones who, in fact, do rubbish too much. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Henry Ford. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. A. The come. My goal is to progress, not to impress. Arma Hadik. Knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom, mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is power. Lao Tzu. Knowledge is having a right answer, intelligence is asking the right question. The tongue has no bones, but it is strong enough to break a heart. So be careful with your words. Determination is doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like doing it. Self determination is fine but needs to be tempered with self control. Unless you claim extraordinary, ordinary claims you. If you want to achieve greatness, stop asking for permission. When you see a successful person, you only see public glory, never private sacrifices to reach there.